Welcome back everyone to another episode of our Minecraft 1.16 Let's Play series. I really hope the day is treating you well thus far. First things first, wow, I am utterly blown away by the views, likes, and comments in the last video. All I can say is thank you so much, truly. You all are awesome, and I deeply appreciate everyone who spent even just a little bit of their day viewing this series. My hope is that I can convey my appreciation not only through acknowledgements such as this, but also by just continuing the series, improving it, and having fun with it. I'll do my best, and again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. So for today, I was thinking that compared to the other side of the island, this side is just simply a hilly sand dune. So I was hoping to modify this a little bit. These changes should be fairly straightforward, as I simply want to level the dune, add in a couple of boulders, and possibly mix in a splash of vegetation here and there if there's sufficient room to do so. By flattening the area, this will correspondingly make the terrain more traversable, as currently, if you can see the back there, you have to jump and jump and jump just to get across. And so unconsciously, I avoid this side of the island altogether because it involves using jumping and the use of spacebar. Therefore, if we level the terrain and make it more amenable to walking, this should allow for more efficient movement to all parts of the island and utilization of this side. Likewise, this redesign should also allow us to more naturally continue the path that starts right over there, such that we can go to our backdoor room here on the other side of the island. The design of the build will be inspired by what is regarded as one of the most photographed beaches in the world, and I apologize in advance before I utterly butcher the pronunciation of this name, as I do not speak French, but it's Anse is what the beach is named, and it's located in the country of Seychelles, which is located in the Indian Ocean to the east of the African continent. I'll leave the name of the beach and the country in the description for those curious, but without further ado, let's get to building. It is quite a bit later, but we are back. Note to self, do not record a 3-hour free building time lapse and expect to edit it within a reasonable amount of time. Anyhow, I got quite in the zone this morning on this build, and as you can see, this area is essentially unrecognizable compared to before. Some of you might be wondering how adding this huge boulder is supposed to make walking around easier, but hold that thought and check this out. If we go underneath the rock, there's now a carved passageway with a door, and this brings us right into the loft bedroom. Regarding the 2 doors, I'm undecided as to whether or not we should have this as the exclusive entrance to the bedroom, or just leave the original door where it is and have 2 entry points. Despite doing some land and seascaping back there, I do not really like how messy it looks in its current state. The boulder, if it's really round, should not extend all the way out past the door, but this is a minor thing that can be fixed later. Anyways, back to the beach. I really like this hidden door exit because it feels secretive, yet also allows us to access the southern beach immediately from the bedroom. The area still feels much more open to me now that it's leveled out, even despite the addition of this large structure. I chose to go with Blackstone rather than generic stone because the contrast looked really nice to me, and stone, well, it's just everywhere in the world and doesn't really convey this sense of uniqueness or that we've come across something special, if that makes sense. Another reason for choosing this block is that I think the texture also bears a lot of resemblance to pumice, a porous, volcanic rock that is formed when gas-rich lava is cooled rapidly. So perhaps in this world, there was once an ancient magma vein running underneath our island that suddenly ruptured, but the sea cooled the lava immediately, resulting in this structure. Another feature of this boulder is that it can be climbed along the side here, and allows access to our other paths that we built back in episode, I believe it was 18. I did spend quite a bit of time detailing this structure, so hopefully it looks like the large rock that it's supposed to be, both within close proximity and from farther away. As we climb up the side of it, you can also see that I constructed a makeshift wooden path so we can access the top of the boulder as sort of a lookout to the south. This embedded sea lantern here is completely decorative and just serves to mob-proof the top of this structure. Now eventually when we have access to an elytra, the rock can also double as a jumping point, so we could easily glide to the neighboring island or to the guardian farm in the distance without the need for rockets. But for now, the beach has a couple of smaller rocks, as well as some vegetation that's decorated on the bottom of the boulder. The green color contrasts really well against the Blackstone, and I never knew this, and I'm pretty pleased to learn this through this build. The beach area itself is a little more vertical than I wanted, but it'll have to do since the chicken coop room is literally right below the smooth sandstone here, and I already had to make a couple of adjustments, making the actual coop area more flat than originally it was. And if we drop the ceiling any more than what it currently is, the chickens are probably going to do horrible things to me when I'm sleeping. But in all seriousness, doing this would turn the chicken coop into a room, and it would destroy the natural alcove feature that was really unique to the cave when we found it. Moving over here, I also added a singular palm tree stemming from a rocky area. I did not include it in the time lapse because they are never efficient for me to build as I have to place the leaves in a diagonal fashion. And I ended up having to move it multiple times as the leaves kept encroaching on the boulder and I didn't want the two to clash. And to the left of the tree is another wooden bridge that spans the opening near the chicken coop. Oh, the area below was also adjusted to add supports for the bridge, and I added the small closet as well since we did have to scale back the fencing that keeps the chickens in their coop. Not sure what to put in here other than seeds and eggs from the chickens, but we'll figure it out. All in all, that's the build, and with this, the exterior part of our island is complete at last. My apologies for blasting through this project in the early part of the episode. In full transparency, I was so motivated from the response of the last video that I wanted to make this build as best as I possibly could, while also getting this episode out in record time. But certainly, if anyone has any ideas for how to improve the island, or wants to give general building tips, since I am still quite a novice at this, I would be delighted if you shared it down below in the comments. Overall, despite this being a pretty small area, I'm pleased with how this turned out. None of these structures were generated beforehand, meaning I didn't go into creative to design any of them, So that's why they may look a little rough around the edges, but I think they suffice for their purposes. This could use a more rounded shape now that I look at it, because it's kind of just like pointy. But it's good enough for now. Yeah, certainly we could add a little bit more height, so we only have just the tip being this height level, and then every other block along here would be the same as that, which would make it a little bit easier. Please go away. And also, what are you doing out there? I need a... Okay, first let's sleep. Okay, which chicken is this? Why are you out here? Cook? You are such a troublemaker. Stay here, please. These chickens. Speaking of, none of them are free roaming except that one over there. And I'm pretty sure that RIP is glitched because they've not moved from this spot whatsoever. Okay, so as promised in the last episode, I said we were going to check out that structure over there. So let's go ahead and do that, but before we do, let me grab some stuff in preparation for that. Cook, have some self-preservation. Don't be in the rain. Okay, so as you remember in the last episode, we built this little square structure in order to divert the path of the rail carts such that they could run parallel to the mine stairwells and allow for us to have this path remain uninterrupted. So if we want to just run over to the other island, we totally can do that now. Looking at the structure, it's not much, very modern, kind of out of place given the current state of things on this island, but we'll change that over time. Yeah, it's just one story. It's got a nice little sea window. Actually, this is like the best view now that I look at it. It's more lit up compared to where we used to have the enchanting table right beneath that tree over there. In any case, this structure isn't much to look at. There's this little window here with some water, but that's about it from the inside. But if we go to the outside, you can see that it's a little taller. So it has this second level, and there's nothing inside. They're just two glass domes, just with a sparing bit of vegetation inside. And so you might be wondering, what is the point of having these plain, waterlogged rooms above an already kind of plain structure? And you might have noticed throughout the series that we have collected quite a few tropical fish throughout our adventures of the ocean. And so, we had never really had room to build an aquarium over in the base. And so I kept this in mind when I was designing this transition structure, and I thought, why not take advantage of this space above and use these as aquariums? So what if we just did something like this? Well, okay, maybe it wants to escape. But yeah, you get the idea. So if we have fish in these structures, I don't even have any blocks, awesome. So if we put fish in these structures, in theory, they won't despawn, but I'll go ahead and name these using an anvil just in case. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that there. Oh well. Does this work? Ooh, it does. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll go ahead and name these buckets of fish. And then, oh yeah, it still keeps the name. Very cool. Okay, so I'll name these fish, and I probably should re-waterlog that. And then we'll have two little aquariums that we could look up as we're zooming on by in the minecart in our world. Stop. Go in. No. 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 They are so fast at trying to escape. My goodness. Well, they're up there. You can see them. Not really sure that we'll be able to enjoy them while passing by at high speeds, but that's okay. Yeah, so this area has totally not been worked on. I would like to go through and put support pillars every couple of so blocks just to make it make sense in terms of support. And I was thinking of also continuing this modern feel that we started over there with the concrete and extending it all the way down to the mine. But I think this is a project for another day because it's a pretty ambitious one, I would say. And we only have like half the episode left in terms of time. So there's other tasks we can do in the meantime. So speaking of projects, we have our little project board over here. And it's really tiny, and there's only one project that's left to do that we still haven't gotten to, and that is to finish up the Guardian farm. So we're pretty close to draining the entire monument, actually real quick. I have been working on it quite a bit in between episodes, and here you can see that I messed up the map, but this is before we started to do anything whatsoever. And then here is after we've laid the perimeter, and I started to add in gravel sections such that we could drain each little square or shape little by little and just make our way around the ring. And I'm really pleased to report that in, I guess, half a month's time, we are more than 50% of the way done. And in fact, since taking this map screenshot, I've actually finished draining all of this side as well as underneath the monument. So we are getting pretty close to finishing the draining portion, which I guess technically checks off that project board box. But anyways, I'm pretty happy with the progress that I've been making slowly but surely on this thing. Even just like a couple of squares each day really added up over a long period of time. So yeah, that's where that stands. But right, the project board. So as nostalgic as this little 4-entry board is, I don't think this is the right location for it anymore, because when we first installed this, I want to say that none of this stuff, except maybe the crafting table and this barrel, were present in this corner. And so now it looks kind of cramped and not really appropriate for a project board. Also, it's still really dark in here despite me using this. Can you do this? No. Oh, you can. Oh. Okay, well that helps a lot. Gosh, one of the major things I'm looking forward to once we update this world someday is glow ink, because I don't know about the rest of you, but it's really hard for my eyes to read this from even just 3 blocks away, when it's not dyed, of course. But anyways, so this project board, I think we'll retire this, and I'm not sure what to put here as of right now, but we can think of something. And so, with that in mind, and wanting a larger project board, I think I've finally found what we can put over in this corner. Yeah, so what if we put the project board like right here? Here would be one post, and then here would be the other. And then we can have a 3x3 board that would give us plenty of room for projects, because I feel any more than that would be... Any larger than that would probably be way too ambitious, given how much time I can dedicate realistically to the game and the series right now. But yeah, if we put the project board over here, this would finally utilize this underutilized little space that I have been trying to think of putting something here forever. It's also nice because the project board, if you look at here, yes, the ocean, great, blue, awesome. There's not really much going on here. So when we look at it, I don't know about you, but it would be very distraction free over here. So that's what I've decided. So let's go ahead and figure out a design in creative mode. All right, I forgot I built this meme thing. You know, where the guy is like asking, what should I put in this space to make it really cool? Anyways, ignore that. So here's what I've thought of in terms of project board designs. Pretty basic, but I think they're off to a good start. The board itself is fairly simple. We are using mushroom blocks that have been connected to another and then popped off in order to replicate the texture of cork. And I think this is a super handy texture tool to have in one's building kit that I learned years ago on a server. With regards to what blocks we should use as the supporting pillars, as you can see, I'm at somewhat of a dilemma. Originally, I had wanted to use something other than stripped jungle wood because we've really used this a lot on our island so far. However, if you think about it from a survival island standpoint, where we're trying to use the natural resources that are present on the island to survive, it's the logical choice. And it also has the added benefit of being able to add buttons to the side to make it look like the corkboard is nailed into the supports from that way. I thought this was a pretty cool little detail, especially given that the board is going to be out in the open, so it'll accentuate the sides pretty nice, but maybe we don't want that now that I think about it. Another option is to use quartz. I'm not sure which variant looks best. This to me looks like too much like a nether portal, And also, how is the cork, like, in here? Did we really carve the marble to, like, yeah, I don't know. This looks off to me. Chiseled quartz, I think it looks pretty good, because when you combine it with the slabs, it makes it look like you've pushed up the quartz, so it's supporting this, and looks clean. The only thing I don't really know how to do is add lighting to the top. As you can see, I've been struggling with that. So I guess the final option we could use is actually Blackstone. This also doesn't look very bad either. And it looks dissimilar enough to obsidian, but it's really hard to say. Given how straightforward these are to build, I guess we could just try one out, or just build these both and see what looks good in that area. Because certainly we're not going to have this green backdrop as we do here. And yeah, oh yeah, on the other side, we could replicate the cork texture, or I was also thinking if this is well lit enough, we could just add a 1x4 scale map of the entire island, and I think that would look really cool as you're approaching from the north. You would see basically what you're about to encounter. But yeah, this is what I have. Okay, so I think for starters, I'll build this Blackstone project board first, see how it looks. But as of right now, I'm leaning towards this chiseled quartz, mainly because I know this looks super good when placed next to blue. And so I'm thinking this will look better with the ocean backdrop. But we'll see. Okay, I'll get to building real quick. And I need to procure some of these blocks because I actually don't have this block yet, I don't think. I don't know where I put all my quartz. Nice. It's kind of big, huh? Maybe one lower? Yeah. Let's give that a shot. I like that better. Let me try quartz real quick. I think that looks a little better, to be honest. Wow, I'm really liking this texture. I need to use this more. But yeah, I don't think it's a fair comparison to look at it at night, although it does look nice. And what I do like is that this is completely unintentional, but this light is actually illuminating this fairly well. So I don't think I'm going to have to put lanterns or adorn them to the sides of this, which would be nice and keeps it pretty clean, because I was really struggling with figuring out how to light this thing up, believe me. Yeah, we are pretty limited on space. Let me go sleep and then we'll look at it during the day again. Yeah, I think unless anyone has really, really strong feelings, I want to stick with this quartz board for now. Oh, you're not Cook, you're a new bird. Oh, okay. I like how I blame Cook without actually checking first. Alright, as for projects currently, I moved the Guardian Farm to the top of the list since technically it's the first task on here and it's the only legacy task from the previous board. So this board will mainly be dedicated to projects around these islands as well as the surrounding ocean. So builds outside of this area and jurisdiction, such as the villager trading hall over there or the continental stuff over there, will be out of the scope for this particular board. However, I was thinking as we start to progress in the world and start to build in other areas, we could start to make respective project boards in those places. And I think intrinsically, it really makes sense to spatially organize it in that manner, such that we don't get overwhelmed and we're not distracted by things that are really beyond the scope of what we want to do in this area. That being said, this is the first time I've ever made a project board, so we'll see how well that idea actually works in practice. So refocusing back to the projects, I've added modernization of the diamond mine, which I think will get started pretty soon. And by modernize, what I mean is decorating that stairwell area and starting to incorporate that futuristic concrete, I guess, style over to this entire island. Because truth be told, I really don't use the windmill, nor do I use this barn. And while I do like how they turned out, they just don't fit the vibe that ultimately I want to build out on this island. Because what I'm thinking here is like we have this very cool natural, use the land and its intrinsic kind of features to build and like live here in harmony. Not to quote a certain show, But then over there, this underwater tunnel, it signifies, okay, we've been here a while, we've started to develop the technology, but we've done it over on this place. So there's a certain kind of aesthetic I want to go for in this area, and that's called Frutiger Arrow. It's associated with futuristic, very bright colored, glassy styles, and it was one of the most popular designs back in the 2000s, 2010 era. So I'm thinking I want to try and go with that over there. Kind of like a modern city, but also adding in a lot of these futuristic elements. We're not just making it like a modern kind of style, because we will be incorporating like practical technology and stuff, and not making it fully decorative, if you will. In any case, that's a huge undertaking, so we'll do this little by little, and the start of that will be by modernization of the diamond mine. I think that presents the most realistic opportunity, and also it's probably the best test grounds, because if it doesn't look great, it's not going to be an eyesore. Not that these are eyesores. But all that to say, because the mine is subsurface and we're not going to be seeing any of it from the bedroom, I think it's a really good testing grounds to see if I'm able to execute this aesthetic in the builds over in this island. Also of related note, I think that allows us to nicely incorporate redstone farms over into this area, which I am thinking of wanting to do pretty soon, but I do not know anything about redstone, so that will be a thing we're going to learn. So other than that, I've added a couple of other things that we can do down here. In light of the fact that we've made a couple of maps now, the biggest one being the Mushroom Island, it's probably time for a map room where we can store all of these things and have a nice little place to kind of appreciate an aspect of our adventures thus far. Also, right below this, it used to be an enchanting table, as I mentioned earlier, but now it's just kind of this spiral staircase that doesn't fit, and you have to duck your head, and it's weird. I don't like it. So we're gonna have to modify that and fix that area. Long term, I was actually thinking of converting the bottom part of this, making it into a tunnel that eventually leads to the villager trading hall over there. And so given that that's kind of a repetitive tunnel building thing, and we figured out how to make that modular design in the last episode, I can do that in between episodes, since we're going to need a lot of different blocks to work over in that area over there. But again, not trying to get too inundated with projects and ambition right now. But I guess related to fixing the spiral staircase, we still need an enchanting room area, since that was removed in the construction of the basement storage area, or the second basement level. And then the last thing that I complained about in the last episode is that even though we have a lot of sea pickles, there's still quite a few areas and like dark spots. So say for example, like right here, there's no light, and drown are just gonna spawn and keep making my life miserable as I try and build over here. So I had the bright idea, pun intended again, to light up the sea and hopefully solve that problem. I don't know how realistic that is, because mobs spawn pretty readily in this version of Minecraft 1.16. I have some ideas, so we can incorporate lights. These chickens. So that we can incorporate lights, not in a just like floating manner, but in hopefully a creative manner. In any case, so these are the 6 projects that I have kind of in mind for the next couple of episodes. But if anybody has a strong preference for any one of these, feel free to let me know down below. And yeah, personally, I don't really have a preference for what to work on, as long as it's entertaining and I'm having fun, which I guess with the recent 2 builds, I've had quite a bit of fun with those, compared to say the Panda Observatory or even the Oasis over there on that island. Those were tough, I will admit. Alright, but with that, I think that about does it. Thank you so much again for watching. Hopefully this build was also a little bit of fun. I certainly like how it turned out. And then, yeah, that's kind of my plans for the next couple episodes, just tackling the projects on that project board, in addition to continue to work on the Guardian farm, which is also encompassed on the board. But yeah, with that, thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day. Take care, and bye-bye for now. There's Cook.